A quote I remember reading was, it's vital in 2021 for a platform to be distributor agnostic.
Yeah, that was my quote.
Was that yours? I didn't realize.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics. Keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dale Bush.
Yeah, but that sounds gross to me. Does that sound gross to you?
It sounds a little gross, but it's a collectibles market. I've stopped trying to judge it because every time I do that, I just feel gross.
It's definitely not a thing that I understand where you treat a comic book like a commodity, like a stock future, like you're not, it's like, oh, I'm not buying this Avengers 4, I'm buying stake in an Avengers 4 that other people have. I'm buying a share of this.
It's just the natural evolution of where the market is right now, and the market is clearly in a state where people are buying stuff that they have no emotional attachment to, specifically for the value. So what's the difference?
I guess the issue is that we're now seeing every facet of collectible fandom being infiltrated by people that have no connection to the fandom and only see it as a profitable investment.
Sure. I mean, comics have been there before. Comics have been there a bunch of times. This is just the newest iteration of it.
Yeah, but never to this, I guess, gross of a level?
I disagree.
Yeah?
I mean, there were people who were buying cases of first issue comics back in the 90s because they all assumed that it was going to be, kids' college funds and stuff like that.
I know, but at the heart of this, I still feel like they're at least buying the comic.
Oh, they're really not.
They're not buying a stake in the comic. They're not buying a percentage of a comic.
Sure, I see what you're saying. I mean, the physical reality is different, but the intent is exactly the same. If anything, this is just more efficient.
I know. It's just that I wasn't prepared to so quickly find something that escalates beyond variant covers.
Look, let me be honest and selfish. If this can move all the people that are snapping up Stray Dogs reprint covers or whatever, like, I'm trying to think of something else recently that got on my nerves. Skybound X #1, because the first comic appearance of Clementine. If they can all migrate to just buying fractions of a CGC graded comic book, that works for me, man. That works out great for me.
Yeah.
I will be okay with that.
I don't know. I feel like the people that would be doing that would be trying to work every facet of the market.
I disagree. I mean, it's certainly, again, if you're talking about like ultra high graded comics that are super limited edition, I don't know that they're going to necessarily be picking up a bunch of $5 comics and also putting $300 into shares of Amazing Spider-Man #1. You know what I mean?
I guess it's just a matter of what your belief is in how you play the stock market.
I guess.
Because I'm sure that people do it both ways, or just one.
Yeah.
I've heard it both ways. That was a little Psych reference for you.
Thanks.
You don't get that because you never watched Psych. You never watched it.
Never did, never will.
What do you think you want to do for the final printings of all the Stray Dog covers?
I don't know, probably just get a few and then sell out and not care a whole lot.
That's fine.
I'm all right with that.
It's also like, hey, they're probably going to come out the same day, and we don't have that kind of shelf space.
They're definitely going to come out the same day. They're on probably the same FOC.
Yeah.
And the joke of it is they're probably going to come out like a week or two before the graphic novel comes out.
Nobody wants a graphic novel now.
Yeah, I mean...
That's not true. We'll be able to sell a ton of that book.
Let me be clear. Different audiences want the comic and a graphic novel. So this isn't really poaching it. This isn't like, oh, now I'm going to get stuck with these because I'm going to have issues 1, 3, 4, and 5, and now people are only going to want to buy the graphic novel. No, the audience that's buying these just wants the covers. They literally just want the covers. They don't care about which issues they're getting or whatever. Because that's the market.
I almost misread the email. God, I feel like this is already lost all of its cold already. This is clay that's been in the freezer. It should be cold forever. Let me just readjust. That's a little better. Trying to record a podcast while icing my back at the same time is fraught with challenges. Shifting there. There it is. Man, I tell you, when we were in the store after hours last night and I was filing restocking something in the back, and I was fine because I was bent over for a while. Then when I went to stand up, it's like, oh no,
Yeah, your back didn't get into
you don't
the
want to
same place
straighten.
again.
And then I was filing. We only got the Ingram order today. That's all.
Weird.
And I was just redoing the bone shelf, which is on the very bottom. Just, just putting those in. Like, I'm down there for maybe a minute.
As one does.
Go to stand back up. It's like, oh, Jesus, no.
Jeez.
Pinched nerves are no joke.
Yeah.
So stop laughing. That's fine. I'm going all over the place because I don't really have a set list of notes. But
Okay.
there's some PRH FOCs that are due on the 11th.
Yeah, I got to remote into the system tonight to upload them. The
So-
problem is I also have to pay for them, which is why I haven't done it yet.
Is the plan for that to double check RMH to see what special orders are, and then
I mean, I already put them all in. Basically, everything that we just got canceled from Diamond,
yeah,
I put everything in that was in PRH's system. The problem is there's 4 things that are not in PRH's system, so I don't know what to do about it yet.
okay. I just meant moving forward for the next few months
I mean, well, that's the thing.
when
like-
the FOCs are. Here's let me start again.
Okay.
Whose job is this?
I guess it could be mine.
Well,
There's no reason it can't be.
because it's an FOC,
Yeah.
but it's also FOCs are based off of initial orders,
Yeah.
and initial orders are mine.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like, you do DC Lunar FOCs.
Yeah.
When I used to do them when they were from Diamond. I still do the Diamond FOCs, so, I mean, I can definitely do the Marvel ones.
I don't know how that became my full-time job.
I don't either. I didn't... You just started doing it.
You told me point blank, you have to do this. I'm never doing it ever.
That doesn't sound like me, but okay. I'm happy.
You know how fatalistic
I'm
you
happy
are
to
when
do
you
them
go.
again. Hopefully, in a month, we won't have to care because
Yeah.
we'll have a whole new operating system
Yeah.
for our storefront.
I wonder if we can manage comics differently.
Very excited about that.
Did you see what I just did? Without...
I'll use it. I'll use that random phrase as a segue. I watched the Managed Comics live stream on Thursday, which was really interesting. I don't know if we've mentioned Managed Comics by name before on the
We have.
podcast.
Multiple times.
We've been kind of coy about it recently. They showed off Managed
Because
Comics.
we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. We
Right.
don't want to get our hopes up.
Right. They showed off Brian from Managed Comics, showed off Managed Comics 2.0.
They showed up Brian. He did a little twirl. A little
he
dip.
didn't really do a lot of physicality. He was on the live stream, and I did notice on his bookshelves he had a copy of the Legion of Superheroes 5 years later omnibus. So that pretty much all I needed to know about Managed Comics.
Okay, may I jump in with a completely
Go ahead.
unrelated story?
Sure.
A younger woman comes in today. She's like, "Hi, I'm looking for a book with some characters. I don't know what they're called, but they're on your windows." Okay, great. You want to point them out?
I love it.
Yeah, I think they're called the Powers.
Oh,
Is it Power Pack? Yeah, sure.
yes, we can help with that.
Yeah, right over here. This is the newest book by Ryan North. This is all the class test. Blah blah blah.
Oh, they're not babies in this?
Grew up reading the Guri Hero books.
Amazing.
Only one of those.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But bought a
I
bunch
wish
of other stuff.
I wish they'd reprint them.
Yeah, but also in the Power Pack Classics, the inside front cover also available. All those books.
Not anymore.
Yeah, I'm like, oh man, I'm so sorry.
Available in
They're
the
so
sense
great.
that they printed them, sure.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
that you can buy them right now.
So you don't have them? No, I have them.
yeah,
We don't have them.
I guard them with my life.
And can I tell you what we sold today?
What's that?
A couple of half off things,
Okay.
including the No Face Bank,
Oh, cool. Okay.
and then the same people,
Uh-huh.
Stormbreaker.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
Stormbreaker was not half off.
No, Stormbreaker was completely
Definitely
full.
not.
And I told them how I mounted mine on the wall. They're like, we're going to do that too.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's a very cool way to display it.
It's a good wall piece.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because it's a nice vertical piece, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like a lot of these things, like they take a bunch of space on like a counter or whatever. This, you stand it straight up, it goes in the hallway, it's fine.
Yeah. So after a week of like, oh man, no one cares about this half off stuff, it's doing pretty well.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll have more in that section very soon.
Real soon.
Real soon.
Anyway, Brian from Managed Comics,
Brian from
who
Managed Comics.
is a big Legion fan.
I mean, big enough to buy that omnibus, although he buys, looking at his bookshelves, which are like the backdrop, like a lot of these Zoom conference things, or YouTube live streams, it's very like, here's my bookshelf behind me. You know, people are doing this in their home office or their library, what have you. I mean, sometimes people do work in their libraries at home. I don't know, they do.
Of course. Yeah.
So you could kind of see the bookshelves he had behind him, and of course it's very similar to the bookshelves, Patrick, you and I are looking at right now, where it's like the Calyx shelves.
Which people think it's weird to have them inside a recording studio, but they deaden the sound.
Yeah, these are like big egg cartons.
Yeah, exactly. Without the roaches from the leftover egg residue.
And so, like a lot of comics fans, he had a lot of omnibuses and a lot of, big hardcover collections, that kind of thing. But I saw the Legion one because obviously I'm going to recognize that logo from 20 feet away
also,
on a monitor.
It's a huge... It's like it's the entire spine.
It's a gigantic book.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I watched that live stream, and it was interesting. We had talked to Brian before about kind of where he was at with it, but this was back in, I think, April.
Do you want to take a step back? Let me back up.
I can.
And just explain that Managed Comics is a new type of point-of-sale and inventory management system.
That was literally going to be the next thing I said.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's not really backing up so much as moving forward. So we talked to Brian about Managed Comics back in April and kind of got an overview of what the system is. Specifically, Managed Comics formerly was a subscription management platform. It existed independent of your point-of-sale system. People could remotely subscribe to comics. Stores would then output that and then, use that to do their monthly orders from Diamond.
As well as handle subscriber subscriptions.
Yeah. So basically all the things that we use Comic Suite for that are integrated with our point-of-sale system, Managed Comics was like a separate thing. It didn't integrate with your point-of-sale necessarily. You would have to move the data from one to the other. So we looked at Managed Comics a few years ago. I can't remember why. I think somebody had mentioned it. And we were just like...
Yeah, what we were looking for alternatives to just the regular pull and hold functionality.
Maybe something, but we looked at that and we were just like, no, I mean, this is a good system, but we have something that's already more efficient for our purposes than this. And then I can't remember why specifically. Managed Comics came up again earlier this year as a possible alternative because they were looking at Shopify integration, taking Managed Comics from being just a subscription management thing to being a plugin for a online and offline point-of-sale system.
On the one hand, they reached out to us, just a cold reach out, but also we've gotten recommendations from other people, other retailers online who are using that.
Sure. So we reached out to Brian and we're just like, hey, what's the deal?
And Brian's like, yeah, I reached out to you guys a while ago. I'm
and
like, oh yeah, you did.
And I went, okay, sure, yeah, that sounds like us. And then I got on a conference call with him and we talked for a little bit. It was, I think, somebody else. Like I put a little message through their website and someone reached out and then Brian reached out beyond that. And so I ended up talking to Brian about where they were at. And
that's the funny part because you messaged somebody else. Uh-huh. And then once Brian got back to it, it's like, oh no, he had already reached out to us a while ago. And
so we talked for a little bit about kind of where they were at and where they were looking to be at. And a lot of the things that he was saying about what they envisioned for an evolution of Managed Comics were things that we were very excited to hear about. Even at the time, the idea of being able to handle multiple vendors in a more organic and transparent way was hugely exciting. And then
this was before Marvel announced they were leaving.
Yeah, and then Marvel announces they're leaving Diamond for PRH, and suddenly it's like, okay, now there are at least 3 vendors that I have to go through just to get monthly comics, not even counting the other vendors that I'm getting graphic novel reorders from, and potentially would like to do initial graphic novel orders from, if it were in a way that my system could understand. And we've been using Shopify to do online sales. So the idea of moving fully to Shopify as our POS with Managed Comics handling things like subscription management and importing data sounded really good. But at the time, they were still a little ways out. It was very... it was in progress. So it was just a thing of like, okay, it's good to know where you're at with this. We're very excited about this. We'll circle back when you're closer to a release and we can get a better look at what's going on. Because even at the time, like, I was able to do some screen sharing and play around a little bit with like a temporary store they'd set up.
Can I just say how great it is that they're willing to work this hard one-on-one with just a potential store? Like this we're
just one store. Like, we're not like a chain of anything.
Yeah.
We're one account. So at this point, they were doing a live stream to show off the more imminent release. Like, this is the second weekend in July.
Yeah.
And it was to show off where they were at and how close they were to release. And, the end result was August 11th is when they're expecting to go live to new clients.
But that's so soon.
It's very soon, and they're in like a beta testing phase now. But it was cool to be able to see some of the, like, more nailed down functionality and answering more explicit questions. This was a live stream that a few dozen retailers were in attendance for and were providing questions for in the chat that Brian answered. And it all sounds really good. There's some stuff that I'm still sort of unsure on that he didn't really get a chance to show off that could be kind of deal-breaky for us. Specifically how initial orders and final order cutoff works was a thing that gets mentioned but not really shown off. Like, oh, here's where you'll upload your FOCs. And it's like, okay, but what does the actual process look like? What data is it pulling? How does that data look? How granular does it get? One of the things that we like with FOCs for Comic Suite is being able to see, the first 4 weeks of sales and then how those sales break down for subscribers versus rack sales. So we get a really clear idea on not just how many copies did you sell, but how many copies off the rack did you sell versus how many subscriber copies went out. How quickly did all those things sell? So we can have a better idea of not just raw numbers, but if we wanted to maybe just have enough to sell for the first 2 weeks, what would that number look like for rack sales? Yeah. And then we add that to our subscription numbers, and we get a number that we're more comfortable with. Same thing for initial orders. Being able to have really sophisticated data is something that Comic Suite is really good at. We've looked at other places where it's like, I don't know what you're telling me. Like, you have data, but you're not conveying it to me in a way where I understand what I'm actually selling and how I'm selling it and who I'm selling it to. So that's a thing that I would need to kind of get a little bit more hands-on with to feel comfortable using. But honestly, like, the Managed Comics 2.0 is doing a lot of stuff that I think is really valuable for any point-of-sale system in 2021, which is being able to handle a bunch of different vendors on both an initial order and a reorder basis to create a portal that customers can use to subscribe to products, to view their subscription lists, and to then, because it's Shopify, also shop for products that you have in stock.
A quote I remember reading was, it's vital in 2021 for a platform to be distributor agnostic.
Yeah, that was my quote.
Was that yours? I didn't realize that. Was that? It was in the email that you sent. I just didn't realize that came from.
There was a quick digression. I was posting something on a Common Writer board, and somebody came back to me with a quote, and I'm like, God damn, that really nails down what I'm experiencing now. Oh, I said that a year ago, and I completely forgot that I said that. I'm like, I did that well.
They were deliberately quoting that back to you?
Yeah. It was like literally like, here's a quote from you a year ago, and I'm like, God damn. I wish I remembered saying that, but not remembering saying that is sometimes nice, because I'm like, oh, that was stuff? Somebody did. I mean, you'd have to have a better memory for these things than I do, because I don't remember shit. But anyway, the Managed Comics 2.0 live stream is really good. I think you can watch it on YouTube if you're a retailer out there. It's worth checking out. I kind of wish the format of it had been a little different. Like, Brian's showing off the platform, but at the same time answering questions, and some of those questions are related to what he's showing off, and some of them aren't.
Some aren't. So there's some information time was spent on unnecessary information, is what you're saying?
Or something where I wish we had maybe gotten a complete, full examination of what the platform was, and then a Q&A afterwards. Like, I know that people had immediate questions that they wanted answered on topics he was discussing, but by doing that, there's more functionality he could have shown off that I think didn't get shown off enough. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, when they get closer to the release, they will do a more structured pitch deck, basically, where it's like a non-interactive, maybe 10-minute thing of like, here's what the product is, here's how it works, here's all the different aspects of it.
Well, after it was over, you immediately had a list of questions that were Challenger specific, which, I mean, will probably help other people, but you sent them in right away, basically saying, hey, here are our concerns. And it's
not even concerned so much as like, this is the sort of stuff we expect to see. Is this something? This is our workflow. Can Managed Comics do that? Because if it can't, and there's an alternative, that's fine. But if it just can't, period, we've had that problem with other point of sale vendors, and it's like, then this isn't going to work for us.
Yeah. Well, the 2 points I'm trying to make with that is, A, so often we're in a forum where there's a bunch of retailers, and retailers have very specific to them questions that they bring up in the forum,
right?
Which you had alluded to before anyway.
Yeah.
But this was basically an email saying, hey, like, specifically for us, our concerns. But B, the other point, he got back to you right away.
He did. That was very nice of him.
Which is a thing that you weren't even expecting.
No,
this
not
is just an
really.
overall generic, here's what we're looking at.
Yeah, and I mean, this was a, like, in the next few weeks, if you got a chance to look at this, like, great. But I also wanted to let him know that, like, I watched it and I thought it went well, and that we're still excited about the product, and that hasn't diminished because of anything that was shown off in the live stream. If anything, like, to see more of what we're looking for is pretty cool.
We haven't changed our point of sale system since we got Comic Suite back in 2009.
Yeah.
There have been tweaks, there have been upgrades.
Yeah. We went from RMS to RMH, but it's still the same platform.
Right. We tried twice to switch over to Comic Hub.
We did.
Wasn't for us.
Yeah.
And at this point, we're not comfortable saying, yeah, we're switching to Managed Comics. But we are thoroughly investigating the potential of switching over.
Yeah, I definitely, if I had to give it a percentage of how close I think we are to just switching, I'd say we're probably like 70 to 80% going to switch to Managed Comics.
And this is a major change for us, but also for our subscribers, because we will then immediately stop using Pullbox. Not immediately, I don't know if it's immediately, but
Probably
we will stop using Pullbox.
In a very short window. Because this is the problem when we were doing Comic Hub, is you kind of can't run two point-of-sale systems at the same time. The longer you're running one, the more desynced your inventory gets on the other.
But more than that, for us, it's going to change the entire register setup at the store.
It will, yeah. I mean, because we'd be using Shopify as the in-store point-of-sale system, and then Managed Comics as a adjunct of that.
Yeah.
One of the things that's nice about potentially doing this is essentially never having to remote into the register ever again, because Shopify exists in the cloud.
Oh, sure. So it's
you can
already
log
there.
into Shopify through any website.
Yeah, okay.
So if you want to access data, if you want to do FOCs, initial orders, if you want to ring up a purchase, you can just do it through Chrome anywhere.
Neat.
You could do it. There's an app on your phone that can do it. There's a Shopify app. So yeah, I mean, that alone is pretty cool. That was a Comic Hub thing as well that we never really got to use. But the idea of that is pretty cool. Yeah, from the last year or so of using Octopus to sync our in-store inventory to our online storefront, like having something that just eliminates all that and just creates one inventory that you can then parse out for different channels. Like you can take an item in Shopify and go, this is not for sale on the website, it's only for sale in store. So you ring it up in store and it never appears on the website. Like there's a lot of cool things you can do like that we've never really needed to do.
Yeah, we didn't want every single item on every single invoice to be immediately available online.
Right.
Especially when there's so many things that are special orders only.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I getting a chance to look at a new operating system that seems pretty much what we're looking for right now is great. And if it's able to deliver on a lot of things that's promising, then we'll be really happy. If there might be some growing pains switching over, there always is. But the thing that we're kind of dealing with right now and have been for the last few months is that the growing pains with Comic Suite and RMH are also happening. There's people who are basically saying, please take me off of Pullbox because it's not working the way it's supposed to. And people who are ordering stuff through Pullbox that's never getting transmitted to us, or alternate vendor stuff not working correctly in Comic Suite, where suddenly we have a ghost DC catalog for a month that is now every time we try and post to that catalog, it wants to post it twice because it's finding two versions of the same catalog. So now I gotta make an appointment with someone at Comic Suite to remote in and figure out why that's happening and get it to go away. And just how difficult it is to do reorders, because Comic Suite is just not set up to do multiple vendor reorders. RMH is, but that's not Comic Suite, and that means that the receiving is vastly different and kind of a pain. Yeah, it's just not great. Don't love it. So
no, and it's honestly the heart of most of our frustrations for the last ever.
Yeah, it's certainly, like, I mean, we've talked about this before. The main problem with Comic Suite right now is that it literally was never designed to have to deal with doing initial orders or even reorders through alternate vendors. It was a diamond point-of-sale system, which is totally fine when, 90+% of your ordering is through Diamond. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
But when your DC is through another vendor, your Marvel's through another vendor, most of your graphic novels are through other vendors, suddenly Comic Suite is not that valuable, and in fact is kind of a detriment to doing your business. So yeah, Managed Comics, definitely what we're looking forward to. Hopefully it's able to deliver on what it's got. Very excited by the stuff Brian showed off, and was grateful that there was a live stream a month out showing off how close they were to release.
Yeah. Hey, can you take your left arm and just hold it to the microphone without touching it?
Sure.
Okay, weird. You always look like you're so much further away from it than I am, but we're the same distance.
Okay.
I don't know why that is, and it's hard to find the right balance between us.
I don't know.
I wonder what kind of learning curve there will be for transferring existing special orders over in the system for customers that have already ordered things.
Yeah, that's the thing we'll need to figure out is the migration of like RMH content. Basically, you can do an export through Comic Suite of basically every open special order you have for every customer. So assuming that's something that Comic Suite is capable of putting out in a non-PDF format, text or CSV, there's got to be some way to parse that data. And more than that, if you're able to dig into the SQL Server stuff, the kind of core of Comic Suite, you can absolutely get all that data to come out in a way that you can then import to another program, assuming you've coded something in the second program that's able to receive that data and then allocate it accordingly. So none of that stuff is impossible. I mean, like, Comic Suite itself has a bunch of things where it's like drop downs where it's like, if you want to import contract data, here you go.
Oh, wow.
This is how you do it.
Neat.
So it's not beyond any other program to then take Comic Suite data and turn it into something it can use. You just need to know both programs, basically.
Well, if there's one thing I know, it's computer programs.
It's true. One of the things that's kind of an advantage to moving to Managed Comics 2.0 as a new point-of-sale system is that since it uses Shopify, and we've been using Shopify for a year,
Yeah.
we're already pretty familiar with a lot of the basics of where data is. There's stuff we don't use a whole lot, but there's definitely stuff we could learn pretty quickly. We know enough of the core interface to be able to do what we need to do. It's mostly just a matter of figuring out the point-of-sale version of it, but Shopify itself is pretty intuitive. So I don't think we'd have that many problems.
I like that you keep saying we when clearly you mean you, because I long ago forgot that one tutorial you gave me on how to build, I don't even remember what it's called, a library, a unit,
A collection.
A collection.
A collection.
Completely forgot how to do that. I recently went back and I'm going to update like the data in my collection so I can finally don't remember how to post it.
Sure.
It was very easy when you showed it to me, but because you showed it to me and then I wasn't using it right away.
Of course. Yeah, like anything.
I've just forgotten it.
Yeah, I was thinking back recently, like, of a bunch of weekly things that I don't do anymore because we don't use some of those processes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, if I went back in time and had to do that, I would be completely lost. I would not remember how I did, like, comicsology stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's been so many years, I don't remember.
And you don't have to. Just get it out of your mind.
Right,
Get it out of your head.
And that was something I dealt with daily for years. And now it's just like,
Oh, comicsology.
I think they're doing okay, though.
Well, I think their subscription management processes are terrible.
Probably.
And their let me build websites for comic shops functionality.
Oh, yeah.
Are you an aspiring comic book creator? Talent Talk Live is a private virtual platform where industry leaders teach you the craft of making great comics. This week on Talent Talk Live, join comic legend Howard Chaykin for a 3-part series where he teaches effective panel design, plotting, outlining, and a whole lot more. All of our talks include live Q&A and an opportunity to get your work critiqued by the biggest names in the comic industry. To reserve your seat at one of our upcoming talks, visit us at talenttalklive.com.
When there is, this is a PRH question now.
Okay.
Now, I don't know the system you use to create purchase order numbers,
Sure.
but when there is an existing product that's new to the store, is there a certain way we should order it? And I'll tell you exactly what I'm talking about.
I'm ready.
I did a D&D restock today.
I saw. And
a book that we had forgotten came out.
let's make dumplings.
Let's Make Dumplings,
Let's
the new
make
Sarah
dumplings.
Beacon graphic novel cookbook. So I threw a couple of those on.
Yep.
And I just didn't know if I should not have done that.
No, you should. And I mean, that order in particular is small enough and doesn't have a purchase order number, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and I didn't do a purchase order number because it's just gaming, because who cares?
Like you would have, like it, yeah. We don't generate a reorder for gaming stuff, so it doesn't really matter.
Right. But that's why I wasn't sure if I should throw that on, because it doesn't exist in our system.
No, it's fine.
It wasn't ever offered through Diamond, so we can't just import it.
We'll have to create it in RMH probably because it, like you said, it doesn't exist in their database.
Yeah. Also, I feel like I probably got too low, but I wanted to make sure we got it
We
first.
can get more. Did you see our discount on those too?
Yeah, I did. That was pretty great, right?
Is that new?
I don't know.
I've noticed that a few times
I wondered
recently,
if that
like,
changed because our terms changed, but our terms haven't changed yet.
I guess.
Oh, no, I'm telling you.
No, I mean, I guess that's the reason why, maybe.
Oh, maybe.
I mean, I know they haven't changed because
But-
I tried to do an order a day ago.
Yeah.
And
you
it
had
was
to pay.
like, you had to pay. Like, all right.
Also, it wouldn't make sense that they change, like, oh, you get a better discount
For not paying in
for
advance.
not paying in advance.
Although
Yeah.
maybe, because they don't have to deal with credit card processing and all the other crap.
So, speaking of PRH and all the invoice problems, not problems, but
Mysteries.
yeah, mysteries. So, I realized that some of the things that I was not being able to find on our bank account is because they were credit memos.
Oh, is that how they did it?
Well, for a few of them, there's still a lot of mystery ones.
Okay, because we've
But,
had
yeah.
we've had damages and we've taken credit memos, but I always just assumed it would be a thing where like on your next order, and I never saw them, so I'm like, where is this credit going? Apparently to a credit card.
No. I'm not saying I've seen the money come back into the bank.
Uh-huh.
I'm just saying I understand why they listed the way they listed on their invoice.
Okay.
I still haven't found the money.
Okay.
I'm just saying
So
I
I wonder
understand a
where
little
those
more
credit
of the...
memos are going then.
Yeah.
That's
I
not
don't
great.
know. I don't know.
That's not good.
Yeah, this
If they're just like accumulating there and we need to activate them in some way, that's not helpful.
it is a deeper mystery every single week.
Cool. Well, at least now they're also our Marvel distributor. So
Yep.
that's fun.
And I'm also curious about when we'll find out about our credit terms because it's been a little while.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah. It's now time to thank our Patreon supporters, including our annual patrons, Becca Hilburn, Brent Helt, Dal's mom Diane Bush, Jose Villagomez, Josh Crawley of Westfield Comics, Michael Romanenko, our patrons that have created their own tier, Andrew Drewtroit Comics Aaliyah, Christina McChrystal, Bridget K. Neville, Chris Burton, our other generous patrons from the Say My Name tier, Arun Singh, Social Media Vampire, Ben-Hur Benedict Calaguas, Bradley Rader, Brian Garside from Manage Comics, Chris Carr, Christopher Haith, Don Cardenas, Drew Triner and Ashley Edwards, Challengers Reservist Fallon Mackerline, my brother George W. Brower, Heidi D., Jacob Sorelli of Kamikaze in Tel Aviv, from 11 O'Clock Comics, Jason Wood, Josh Trigg, Mark Hammond of All Yeah Comics, Margie, Keith, Logan, and Malcolm Springham, Marcus Nasso, Matt Armstrong, Mitchell Davies of All Star Comics in Melbourne, Australia, former challenger Molly Jane Kramer, Morgan Kaiju Perry, Nick Baldwin, Robert Burns, Ryan Alcock, Ryan Hecht, Sean Bowers, Tad Eggleston and Johnny Williams, Thomas Nagovin of Century Guild. And if you would like to hear your name thanked once a month on this very podcast, head over to patreon.com/challengers and pledge at the $5 Say My Name level. Thank you all very much, and a big thanks to all of our other patrons who generously support this podcast at different pledge tiers. Dal, you and I were having a conversation at the start of this podcast where I just pressed record.
You did.
Giving you a heads up that
saw.
we were recording.
Thank you.
And what we were referring to back then is that CGC has been bought by a company called Blackstone Tactical Opportunities.
Which is great. That's
Yeah.
the name.
I mean, it just sounds so nefarious, doesn't it?
They have their fingers in a lot of pies. Collectibles, housing management, toppling regimes. They got a lot. They got a lot going on.
Diversification is the key for Blackstone Tactical Opportunities. But
some food trucks.
some,
Not a
just
lot.
some. That is not how I planned to start this specific episode of Contest of Challengers. But since we were already talking about it, I'm like, I'm just going to hit record, and then we'll continue from there.
Content.
Which is why I literally had to write down the name of that company because I would never remember it.
No.
Which one is Starfire's sister? Is it Blackstone or Tactical?
Blackstone. Tactical was one of Roy Harper's names.
Oh, you're right. Mm-hmm. The way I was going to start this episode of the podcast, which is, I mean, we're changing topics entirely.
Okay.
I was going to mention to people that back in early October of 2019, you and I had a very special episode of this podcast.
Oh, we did. That's true.
Where we recorded in a very echoey,
We did.
empty storefront
Yep.
that was to become our new location.
Yeah. Challengers Blue.
And I'd prefaced it with, this is the second biggest announcement we could ever possibly have on the podcast.
It's true.
Well, this isn't the first biggest announcement.
No.
It's a huge announcement for us personally.
Yeah.
But I am very happy to report that
We got All Out tickets. Oh, wait, no.
we got All Out tickets. We did.
Biggest news that I remember happening
Thanks to Dow.
on Thursday
Thanks
was
to
we
Dow
got
being in the
All Out
AEW
tickets.
fan club.
I somehow got on a mailing list, and that mailing list that I normally would be like, whatever, I know what's on Dynamite, suddenly was like, oh, we're doing a fan club pre-sale, and you're in the fan club. I'm like, I'm in a what now? And then here's a code, like, great. And then it's like, oh, cool, we have tickets to All Out now.
Do you like how all the extra effort we had to do was just for our friends to get tickets?
Pretty much.
It's like, no, you covered us. I was then going back and doing the work for them.
It's true. Like the last few years, like obviously we didn't go to All Out in 2020 because there was a pandemic and it was happening in a closed location, I think, in Jacksonville,
Florida.
But 2019 we had to like work some connections, kind of.
Yeah. Well, we only got to go to All In because our good friend John Massantono had tickets and then couldn't go because he had to go to a wedding. Yeah. So he sold us his tickets.
Which at the time, like AEW didn't even exist. So
yeah.
I would have just been like,
this is what made like, oh, we can do this.
Yes. And then because of that, like then we were like, well, we got to go to All Out. That's like the pre-AEW show. We're going to find out who the AEW champ is going to be.
That's right. No, it wasn't.
Was it not?
You know what? I don't remember.
I think that was no.
No, that was to find out who
was
it
the
not contender.
Jericho versus Hangman?
No, that was to find out that Hangman he won the Battle Royal to be the contender.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was Double or Nothing.
Was that the one where he came out on the horse?
All right. You know what? I wasn't even talking about wrestling anyway. You did this.
Anyway,
you always do this.
That was the second biggest thing. No, that was for sure the first biggest thing that happened.
If I wasn't as lazy, I would just cut all that out.
Aw,
it's nonsense.
People love the wrestling content.
Some people love the wrestling content.
I love it.
Anyway, what has this podcast ever been about you?
Thursday, big news.
I mean, now we've made it into this bigger thing than it is, but we are finally out from under that lease.
Yes. We no longer have any legal claim or responsibility for 750 North Franklin, number 103.
We're not completely done with the ramifications of opening that store.
No.
But we're done with that landlord finally. And I was waiting until not only, it wasn't just me giving the check, which the final check was personally handed to that landlord. It was waiting for them to cash it, which they did immediately.
Instantly, of course.
Yeah. Honestly, I thought it'd be cashed by the time I got home, but it was later in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. But it was done. And look, it took multiple attorneys. It took
months
of negotiation. It took a lot of legal fees and back and forth and consultants.
It's just basic money that we had to give the landlord.
Yeah,
like that was sizable and continuous.
And let's be perfectly clear, they still put one over on us.
They really did
at the end of it, but it got to a point where we just said we just want out.
Yeah, like you can have your stupid little victory and you can take your amount of money. I never want to see you again.
Yeah, ultimately we paid them significantly less than they wanted for us to break this lease.
However,
no, I mean that was it.
Oh no, I was going to say we spent significantly more than we probably should have. Like literally everyone we talked to, from like friends to colleagues to legal professionals, were like, it is ridiculous for them to ask for this much money.
Just the attitude that they had, and well, anyway, like we're not talking specifics. We're not part of the settlement, if you will allow that phrasing.
Sure,
is that we don't talk about it. So I don't know if we said too much.
I don't care.
But yeah, it's we're done with that spot.
Yeah,
we're officially done, and literally as I was driving, like I hadn't even gotten there, just turned the corner from Chicago into Franklin, and I noticed, oh, I'm smiling.
Yeah, it feels good.
And then, of course, it was, I can't just drop this in the lockbox. The gate's closed. I have to call them and have them come out.
Yeah.
And I just come from physical therapy, so I was in my Kevin Owens fight shorts, my Colt Cabana sleeveless hoodie, a Captain America shirt.
Sure.
Yeah. As one is.
Sure.
But anyway, that is officially done.
Nice.
And around the same time, we recently, I think we talked about this last year, that we'd signed a new extension, a lease extension at Bucktown.
Yeah.
Challengers Red, or as we call it,
Challengers.
But anyway, because of the pandemic and because of everything happening in the world, we were able to talk to them and renegotiate, and now we are in Bucktown for a little under 8 more years.
Yeah.
Well, it was 8 more years starting in April.
At that spot. That'll take us through our 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it definitely will.
That's pretty cool.
I will be in my 60s.
Let's hope.
If I make it.
Let's hope.
If I make it to that. You don't mind pushing me to work every day, right? It's like we can't afford a fancy Charles Xavier wheelchair.
It's true. Yeah. Push or drag. I don't know, one or the other.
Whatever. I mean, rolling using somebody else's momentum and not mine.
Sure.
So once we realized that, hey, we're in this spot for a while now with the air conditioning that we hate.
Oh, so much. 3 o'clock every Monday.
Let's finally start making some of those changes or improvements, those quality of life improvements that we've been putting off until we knew what our future was.
Yeah.
And the first thing we're doing now?
Carpeting.
New carpet.
Finally.
It's been over 13 years with this existing carpet.
Which is about 8 years longer than it probably should have been.
I mean, I made that joke to one of the people who was giving us a quote.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, yeah, we've had the carpet for 13 years. That's, a couple years longer than we wanted to.
Uh-huh.
8 is Dal's number.
8.
So we're not just telling you about this carpet because we're excited for it. Because quite frankly, most people don't even realize how bad our carpet is.
No.
You'll
notice when we get the new one.
Even the guy who was doing the measurements to giving us an estimate on Wednesday didn't see the seam pull right away, which to me is just massive, and a giant neon arrow points to it every day. Because it's like 2 inches wide now.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and like the length of the store.
Anyway, we've already signed the deal. We've already paid for it.
Yep.
We're getting new carpet, new trim, and they're leveling off part of the floor by the front door to try to keep the water from
pooling
being
there.
the issue it is.
Yeah.
So to do that, we need to get every single thing that's on the carpet now off of it.
Yep.
So they're able to pull up the old carpet and padding, adjust and fix whatever tack strips they need, and then lay the new padding, lay the new carpet.
Yeah, so basically the 16 red metal bookshelves and all the books on them have to move.
All the back issues.
All the back issues and the Calic shelves that they're on. Mm-hmm. The blue half-size bookshelves and all the books that are on them. The front tables and all the books that are on them. The 3 counters and everything on and in
4
them.
if you count the little guy.
I guess I don't. And that's... and then the poster racks that are in the back of the store.
Yeah, and then everything that's hanging too low.
Yeah.
Like the entire... enamel pin shelf has to go.
Yeah, the comics wall.
The bottom row has to go.
The bottom shelf of every...
So the bottom shelf is easy. We're just going to pick those up and put them on the top shelf.
Okay, that's cool.
But the reason we're telling people is we're going to need help.
Yeah, and also we're going to be closed today.
Yeah, so Sunday, August 1st, starting at 5 p.m. is when we got to take everything out of the store.
Yeah.
We're going to be closed Monday, August 2nd for the carpet. And then Monday, August 2nd, around, I don't know, I'm guessing like 4 or 5 p.m.
Yeah.
We'll start putting everything back.
I think we'll say 5.
Yeah, give it to...
Even if the carpet guy's finished before then, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely start. But,
yeah. We'll do the small stuff.
If you are someone in the Chicago area who has that time available, one or both of those days... That would be swell.
Sunday,
the more people we have, the faster it'll go.
Sunday at 5 and Monday at 5. Those are the 2 days we're looking for, August 1st and 2nd.
Monday night's going to suck because we have to have everything ready.
Yeah.
Like, taking everything off the shelves and everything is one thing. Putting it all back in a saleable manner.
I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that bad. I think one of the problems that we're going to have Sunday night is where does everything go? Finding nooks and crannies in hallways and sidekicks and garages where stuff can go is going to be a giant pain in the ass. Putting it back, we know there's space for it.
Yeah, but also, like, do you want to measure where everything is right now so we know where to put it back?
I mean, maybe not right this second, but yeah, it's probably something we should do beforehand.
Yeah, I don't mean...
I don't think, like, I don't think it's
not in the store right now.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, I don't think it's necessary, like, this week or whatever.
Oh, no, but just before the first.
Yeah, I would maybe do something where we put, like, a piece of tape on the wall to show where the counters would go.
Okay.
And
the counters are easy because they go up to the...
Right. Up to the rack, and then and the bookshelves are kind of the same thing, where you just need to measure, like, how far is it off from the counter?
Yeah.
And then line them up.
It'll be a quick measuring thing. Here's a bigger question I have to you that I had to Gina, but I think I already know the answer from you as well. Mm-hmm. This is a prime opportunity to rearrange stuff.
Uh-huh.
You thought about rearranging anything?
No.
That's what I thought your answer was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, certainly there's things where I look at and I'm like, God, I wish we had better spaces for a lot of these things, but I don't have answers for it. The problem we have right now is that we have more stuff than we have space for. And so there's things that I want to...
Because of the aforementioned blue store.
Yeah, like basically the one thing I do kind of want to do when we're moving stuff out is not necessarily moving everything back in. Or at least in the same way. Like, things that are on top of shelves or whatever, like, I don't know, maybe those go in the half-off section. Or maybe the supplies stay in the back hallway. Or maybe, like...
Yeah, it's just that our back hallway space has gotten a lot more limited.
No, I understand.
I think one of the things we need to do leading up to this is reevaluating everything that's in the wonderful... drawer storage system we have in the back hallway.
Like, we can stop carrying single comics for Shopify beyond what's on the shelves.
Right, but I also mean, like, going through and saying, like, oh, we have this stack of donation books. Mm-hmm. Let's get rid of them.
Yeah, so certainly, like, clearing some of that stuff out and then putting things in those sections would be to our benefit. So that's really all I'm thinking about. I have to look for a
blue binder today. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, all I'm really thinking about as far as, like, changing things around is just there are kind of messy things in the store that I would like to be less messy.
Sure.
That's about it. I don't... A different layout, I don't think it's really necessary. There is something, though, I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
And I don't...
You don't want to vocalize it?
I mean, I'll say it, because maybe it's something you can start thinking about and try and have an answer for.
A clown booth.
No.
I like it.
One of the things that we're having a problem with on a weekly basis now is running out of space in the New This Week section.
Yeah.
Because so many comics and graphic novels and toys and pop vinyls and everything else are coming out on a weekly basis, that especially variant covers.
No, I've already got it solved.
I mean, what was your answer?
My answer is the end cap that has all the leftover weird toys and things. We'll put the pops there.
The end cap that has all the weird toys and things.
The across from the Marvel Legends, the end cap.
Sure. Okay, got it.
Yeah, we'll find better homes for those things and make that the pop wall. And then you have all that extra room.
Okay. I think you could maybe potentially... Like, the pop section is 3 2-foot sections.
Yeah.
Take 2 2-foot sections, and that becomes another 4-foot section for the New This Week section. And then take the last 2-foot section that I wouldn't want to put New This Week stuff on because it goes right up to the wall.
Okay.
And maybe make that into the, like, overflow toy section.
Right. And then put the pops
and then
there.
Pops go on the... But is the pop section going to be...
It'll be crowded. We'll make it work.
Well, that's the thing. Is it less space? Because it's 4 feet...
It is less space.
It's 4 feet instead of 6. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
It is less space, but we'll make it work.
Okay. Well, that could be... We'll think about that. Maybe there's a better answer out there.
That is the thing we can even do in advance just to see if it fits.
Yeah, maybe.
And then you realize that as soon as we do this, like, the weeks will be dead.
Yeah, I mean, certainly you're going to hit, like, the fall, and it's like, oh, there's a lot less books. But, I mean, Jesus, we were just talking about, hey, here's 5 covers to Stray Dogs reprints that are all going to come out in the exact same week.
Sure. One of the things that we do with the new release wall is periodically during the week that the books are there, as things sell out, we spread things out.
Sure.
Because we both hate the empty spaces.
Nope.
But sometimes it's impossible.
Uh-huh.
And we get away with using the release backer cards to fill some of that space.
Right.
I wonder if we can't just make up 10 random backer cards that are like, hey, these books sold out, without being specific to what it was, just to fill the space.
Oh, I think with it being generic would make it too confusing, because I think you'll have people that are just like, what was this? What sold out? And it's like, I'd have to look at the board. I don't know the answer.
I really love that you think that the majority of people pay attention to any of those things, like the release board that's directly above it. Here's a quick
here's real quick. Here's why I think that.
Yeah.
Because it would irritate us, and that's why it's going to happen.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
They don't see the things that would answer questions. They only
Gotcha.
see the things that will cause them to ask questions.
So I'm fixing the new release wall today, and a guy comes up to me, and this is right at 5 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And he just comes in, and Gina's like, hey, just so you know, we're closing. He's like, I know. He comes over to me, and he's standing right at the corner of that wall. I'm at the new release wall. Mm-hmm. And he's like, do you have any of the brown box Transformers figures? I go, yeah, literally just around the corner on the bottom. Because we rearranged things today.
Oh, okay.
Because I wanted Black Widow stuff up top.
That's cool.
And he's like, where? I'm like, literally just turn around right on the bottom. So he turns around, and he looks at the
back issues?
No, the overstock, the overflow rack
section.
I'm like, no, just turn around from there, just right at the bottom. And he turns, he looks down, and he goes, no, I mean the figures. I go, yeah, the figures. He's like, no, I want the action figures. So I walk around, I'm like, those? No. Oh, yeah, it's those. Oh, you don't have Galvatron?
He hasn't come out yet. They literally just announced him.
Came in looking for Galvatron today.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I'm almost glad I wasn't there for that, because while I could have answered it faster, I would have done it in that voice. They just announced him.
Yeah. Do you think we would have a separate section with Galvatron?
Also, he's a gigantic box. You'll know if we have him or not. He's a leader class figure. He's gigantic. Anyway.
It's just those right there. I didn't...
You know, the Galvatron they announced 2 days ago, you don't have that?
I know, right?
That's not how toy distribution works.
Clearly not. Clearly. I don't know. I clearly, as you got an email about today, I clearly don't understand how toy distribution works. But anyway, you saw that Laura Kinney statue is available new to order.
I added one.
What?
Is that why you ordered 3? I had already put one in the cart.
Oh, had you?
I had.
Oh, I didn't see it.
It's okay.
I didn't close that cart out, did I?
You did, but it's fine.
Oh.
If we have an extra one, I'm sure we can move it.
Okay, because there were 3, you, me, and Gina.
Oh, is it? Okay. Then
Yeah.
that's perfect then.
I mean, I added 3.
3 is what got posted.
Oh.
I added 1 to the cart this morning, and then I don't know what happened between them.
Okay.
But the report that got emailed said that 3 were ordered.
Okay, because I ordered 3.
3 were ordered.
Okay.
I don't know what happened in the middle.
Well, so even if something happened and we have one for the shelf,
Yeah, I don't care.
fine. I'm sure other people will buy it, but I also think that they will most likely use pull box.
Probably, yeah. I certainly would not normally be like, let's get extras of $140 plus Kota Bakuya Bishoju statue.
Right.
But if we happen to have an extra one, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It's not like a storm statue.
It's
$300 storm statue
so close.
that we're going to have forever.
Forever.
Who's going to get that for Christmas
Right,
someday? I
but
don't know.
that's not a thing we ordered an extra of. That
did
was
not.
an employee misordered that.
Yep.
That was not our mistake.
Nope.
There were plenty of things that I've ordered for myself. Like when they first started doing Joella Jones statues.
Yeah.
And the first one was the Batgirl Burnside. I'm like, I'll get that. And then they did Supergirl. And then they did a Catwoman. I'm like, well, I'll get the Catwoman because she's also writing that book. Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh, let's put this Batgirl on the shelf.
Yeah.
It's not that I took it home and brought it back. I just never took it home.
At least Bruno Redondo did a new design for Batgirl's costume that looks more like that, so someone might want to buy it again.
Oh, no, we sold it a while ago.
Oh, did we? That's right.
The only statue we have left
The
from
Mignola Batman?
that series is Mignola Batman.
Which is such a great statue.
Yeah.
I think we sold a few, which is why we still have one, because
Yeah,
we
exactly.
actually reordered it.
That's exactly why. The thing that I think will never sell currently are the Deadpool heads.
Maybe.
Which I think the heads are great. I bought Parker one for Christmas. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's, I think, pretty reasonably priced.
Yeah.
All things considered. For, like, a animatronic head with a corresponding app.
Yeah, exactly. It's interactive with the app.
It's decent. There's a few things that we've sold recently that I had pretty much resigned to maybe throwing out at some point.
Stormbreaker?
Not even Stormbreaker. We didn't have Stormbreaker for that long.
No.
But, like, some of the 112 collective figures I think we sold recently.
Yeah.
That's
So we
cool.
still have Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
That Abe Sapien I'd ordered for a friend who I have not seen since before the pandemic.
Sure.
So there's that. We did sell the final plush kitty from Lumberjanes.
We did the Holy Kitty, yeah.
The Holy Kitty from half off, so that's great. Yeah, little things moving.
Was it half off?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I don't think I gave somebody half off on it.
Wait, but you looked at the...
I just scanned it.
Oh.
There's a barcode. I typed the barcode in.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Sorry.
I didn't go back in and change... I told you, I didn't change any of the barcodes. I just put the half-off sticker...
It wasn't priced over the barcode.
No, but it was priced... The half-off was right where the price sticker was on the package. What I did was I found where the price sticker was on each thing and put the half-off right next to it.
Okay.
I didn't price over the barcode because the barcode on that kitty was in the bag and it wasn't readable either.
It was on the bag.
But you still had to type it in.
I did. But, I mean, it was typable. It was legible. It just didn't scan.
Well, we know who bought that. We'll take care of that.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
So, sorry, Matt.
Sorry, Matt. I wondered why somebody just picked it up all of a sudden. I'm like, wow, this is a totally random thing to just buy on a Wednesday in 2021.
Yeah, we'll take care of that.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I mean, we might have his email, so we could probably just reach out and go, hey, just realized.
Yeah. And then we'll put on a note and then never give them...
Never give credit on it. Because I'll just set it to the side for 2 consecutive weeks, and then after James leaves, I'll be like, oh, God damn it.
My favorite interaction was... This is a customer who's been shopping with us for a while, and then had a daughter, and the daughter's growing. And just this week I said, hey, what happened to that tiny little creature you used to come in with? That little thing you can hold in your hands? He's like, I know, right? And the daughter looks up and she goes, I'm right here.
Mm-hmm. She was not in a joking mood.
Right, but my point was she got big.
She did.
And then I was going to be like, I did say, this thing was much smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Fit it in your hand. Yeah, but I thought it was adorable. She's like, I'm right here.
I got kind of the same thing. I'm like, look at you. You're like a young adult now. What are you, 21, 22? I'm 9.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I remember when we were doing a live Art of Wrestling in the store, and Parker heckled Colt, and Colt's like, I'm getting heckled by a 7-year-old. And Parker yells really loud, I'm 9.5!
Wow.
Like, all right, sorry.
Yeah, geez.
That 2.5-year difference is all the world.
Uh-huh.
Don't mean to get you so sensitive. There was 2 people in the store today, first time in, and I don't know, bought a post. Like, one of them bought a poster, and one of them bought some books. And the older one, who I thought was the mom, but maybe isn't, I don't know for sure. I don't want to make any assumptions, but in my head, that's what it was.
Okay.
Was like, this store is so great. I've never been here before. I love it. This is so good. Like, wow, thanks. So, like,
yeah,
when people get excited, it's great.
It is nice.
Somebody else is just like, hey, it's my first time here. I was just walking by, decided to stop in. Like, oh man, like we don't usually get walk-bys, you know?
I don't know. I think we do. Like,
Yeah.
I've definitely seen plenty of folks that come in on Sundays or the occasional Monday or Tuesday where it's like, I was just walking by. Like, we were getting Italian ice, or I was getting a coffee, or we were just on the 606 or whatever. Like, we do get walk-ins.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. It is always nice after being in business for almost 13 and a half years to have people still finding us.
Yeah.
And we were asked today to maybe say some things about positive customer interactions,
Okay.
like some good stories. And I said, I'm happy to do that if they ever happen on a Friday when I'm working right before we record. It's not like I save up the bad ones.
No.
They've just recent in memory.
Yeah, I think maybe it's just my poor memory, but I feel like in general I don't do a great job of retaining a lot of like fun stories.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we can talk about stuff that maybe happened this week or maybe even something that happened the last couple days. But like I was talking to someone today and they were like, you must have a lot of good like counter monkey stories, and it's like I honestly don't. Like I'm sure there's been crazy things that have happened in the last 13 years, but
Also,
I don't remember.
I'm not a fan of that phrase.
Yeah, me neither. I wasn't the one who said it.
I know. There are retailers we know who immediately post all of their positive interactions online. Like, there was this child in today, and it was their first time getting a comic, and we were so thrilled they picked up that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's not our style.
Yeah, I got to overcharge somebody twice as much as I should have for a plush Lumberjanes thing.
That's
good.
your style.
That was a positive interaction.
For either a 20-year-old or a 9-year-old, I'm not sure.
Until it becomes a negative interaction when I have to go, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. But I mean...
Please don't stop shopping here because of this.
Yeah. I think it'll go a long way if we point it out first.
Yeah.
I'll email him later.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, that's fine.
And just completely throw me under the bus.
No, I use the generic we.
No, use Dal.
No.
Dal screwed up because he's bad
fine.
at his job. I am not, which is why I'm emailing you.
I'll know. Oh, man. So, I had to call a new club member today to be like, hi, I'm sorry to bother you. I know you just signed up yesterday to our pull and hold service, but I'm afraid I can't read your last name. And they apologized, like, oh, I'm sorry, my handwriting is so bad. And honestly, I'm surprised they even picked up because it's a strange number.
Sure.
Like, most people just let it go to voicemail. I'm like, oh, this person will never call back. But they answered.
Right.
And ironically, before this, I said, hey, Gina, what do you think this name is? And she got it exactly right.
Was it what I thought it was?
I don't remember what you thought it was.
I thought it was Atkinson.
It is Atkinson.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't going to say the name, though. I thought that would be rude.
How would they know? I mean...
But when I looked at it, and like, show it to me, and Gina just said, well, there's someone at work with that last name, so that's the first thing that it reminded me of.
Sure.
Also, after it was all said and done, and I go to put them in the system, I realized I can't read one letter in their email address.
Yikes.
So it's either football and then another word and a number, blah, 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 or footbull.
Probably football. You did both?
No. Oh, I didn't. I did ball, but it really looked like a U.
Okay.
But who knows? Who knows? The annoying part about that was having just the day before had a talk about that exact type of thing. Like, hey, look, when you get club forms that are filled out like this, and we don't know what they are, that's bad.
Yeah.
You need to make sure everything is legible. And that person said, yeah, okay, no, I get it, I got it. And then the very next day did it again.
Yep. The very next day.
The very next day. So that was super fun.
Yep.
But, it's all fine in the system. It's all good.
It got solved.
It did. It's just like, oh, we literally just talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday. I can tell you, it was much nicer coming in this morning after you and I were there last night, taking care of all the things that
bunch of little things.
Yeah. Made it a lot easier. Gina even noticed that I was in a much better mood on a Friday morning.
Because you knew what to expect.
Yeah. And all the little things were, organized, waiting.
Yeah.
Although, just to be more thorough, I spot-checked more of the club boxes are totally random order.
Great.
So that'll be another talk.
Awesome. I'm sure that'll be productive.
I remember years ago when we worked for a different company and I was at a management training seminar, and one of the takeaways that I've never been able to do is you need to have 7 to 10 positive things that you say about somebody for every one negative thing you say.
Oh my God, that's impossible.
Yeah.
I can't even do that about myself. Ridiculous.
7 to 10 to 1.
Jeez.
So to recap, if anybody has time on Sunday night, August 1st after 5 p.m., and Monday night, August 2nd after 5 p.m., we could use some bodies in the store. Yeah, it's weird. I don't want to, part of me wants to be like, we'll get pizza, but we won't because
I don't know what we're going to do. I don't want to promise anything.
We just want everybody out.
Yeah.
Like, we're so exhausted by moving everything out, and it's going to be such a long day the next day. We're not going to hang around. And then once everything is moved back in on Monday, we still have to organize everything.
Yeah. I'm putting that in my calendar right now so I don't forget.
Oh, that'd be great. Dal's unavailable. He made plans. Can't make it. So, like, we have Gina for that Sunday, but not for Monday.
Okay.
That's fine. I mean, again, we don't expect people to give us both days.
No.
We'll just we'll take whatever we can get.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I'm not entirely... I didn't read all of it, so this is probably irresponsible when we talk about it. but Volumes Book Cafe, who spent all this time, effort, and money building the perfect book space for them in Milwaukee 5 years ago, and then had to leave that space because landlords and things.
Sure.
They're looking to come back into the neighborhood, which they always have been, but they want to buy a building.
That makes sense.
So they have a GoFundMe for $50,000.
Wow.
To be able to afford
Like a down
store.
payment, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not going to buy you a store.
Yeah. And they talked about how their rent on Milwaukee was cheaper than most people's were, and that buying the building, the mortgage will be cheaper than that rent was.
Okay.
I'm like, man, wouldn't that be so great? But like, no, we're not going anywhere for 8 years.
Yeah. I've always liked that idea of like living in a building that was also where the store was.
Sure.
Like,
Like
I always
just
thought that
owning
was
the
neat.
building.
No, I mean, I like the idea of owning and living in. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like buying like a building that had apartments that I could live in one.
Oh,
and
you didn't want
also-
to just like live in the basement where the overstock is?
I'd be fine with that too. But yeah, that's certainly more difficult to do in the city than it would be to do anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, best of luck to them. They're an
Yeah, for
asset
sure.
to the community, and I hope they can make it.
Yeah.
I also believe that it's not necessarily just donations. I think they're counting it as investments, and they're looking at a
Oh.
plan to pay people back.
Okay.
But it's a dream to.
Sure.
Like, so many people are like, I would never rent. I would only own the building. I'm like, well, yeah, as Dal just said, it's harder to do it in the city.
Yeah. Not impossible, but way harder.
Sure.
Certainly depending on where you're at. If you're
Sure.
like, oh, I'm in the ground floor of a 27-story building, you're probably not going to buy that building. That's probably not going to happen.
Well, what is going to happen is that this podcast is going to come to an end. But also what's going to happen, there'll be another one next week, as far as we know. No promises. Thanks for listening.
And keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.